Night of the Living podcast is always ad-free for patrons at patreon.com/NOTLP.
Welcome back to Night of the Living podcast. I'm Freddy. That's Amy.
Well, hello there.
Andy is here via a screen.
Scream? Ah!
It's so small. He's trapped in this box. We usually talk about horror films, science fiction, fantasy films, and we're going like back to the roots. When Amy picked this theme, this is one I put in the hat. Everybody's like, well, that's just what we do all the time. But
What's the theme?
Supernatural horror, but it's not really. Supernatural horror is a very specific kind of horror film. Like, even though it is the broadest category of horror,
It's
I
so
think.
broad.
It's also like
Big tent.
just so people understand what that theme really is. That is your Draculas started it, and then there's this huge gap where they existed, but they weren't really popular between like the 40s to all the way up until the 70s. And then supernatural horror came back with movies like what we're going to talk about this week, Burnt Offerings, and then The Exorcist, and The Omen, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it is super broad category. So
Yeah, and do we have a pun for it?
there was no pun I came up with, but
Yeah. Sometimes there's just no pun, Amy.
sometimes you don't want to force a pun.
I love it, though.
What if we did like soup or natural, and then we have a bowl of soup in the logo with like steam
Then
lines
what?
coming off of it?
But what is the natural?
Big boobies. Big floppy boobies. Supernaturals.
Oh, boy.
Big naturals.
That's a tough choice. Like, what am I in the mood for tonight?
Supernaturals.
Do I want a nice chicken noodle soup or some big floppy titties for dinner?
Classic.
Yum, yum, yum.
So if you subscribe to our mailing list at notlp.com, you get a chance to pick one of the movies for the theme. We each pick a movie of 3, and then the 4th film is picked by this lucky person, and it's Monica,
Our friend Monica.
who is super
Yeah.
supportive of the show.
Yeah.
Also
We've met
a
in
Beelzebub.
person.
Yeah, we've met in person. Just a delightful person. And she's picking the 4th. I emailed you, Monica. I don't know if you're caught up on the show, if you're current, but just get your choice to us by Monday the 17th, if possible. Gives us plenty of time.
17th of
This
March.
March. That's what I meant.
2025. Let's orient ourselves in space and time.
Okay.
Okay, now I feel better.
Yeah, we had to be specific about what year we need to get this by.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she'll send us a movie for next year.
2027.
She's like, I just caught up. 2 years behind.
I found out today that I need to get a crown. And did you
Is it
know?
because you're a queen?
Is it because I'm a
queen.
queen? I need to slay a queen. No, I got to get a crown on my tooth, which I've never had done before. And a person, another human being on this planet, not an alien or something, looked me in the eyeballs and said with nonchalance, "It's going to be about $2,200." And I was like,
Holy balls.
"You just said that to me? No big whoop.
Did you slap
Have a
him?
nice day." Did you slap?
You should have slapped him real hard.
I felt like slapping. Who says to another human being,
Yeah.
And this is
$2,200?
even with insurance?
No.
No, it's before insurance.
Oh, okay.
But they don't take my insurance. That's the whole thing that I hate. They're out of network.
So
But I've been
are you going to
seeing
find a
them
doctor?
forever.
Are you going to find a dentist in network then?
Who has
that's a lot of
time
money.
for that?
Yeah, I have a dentist in network that I go to. Same
who has time for
insurance,
that? No,
but
no, no, no.
Amy's emotionally attached to
I
this.
think 20
they are my dentist.
Her
I feel
dentist.
$2,200 is worth your time.
Shop around.
Well, they're not.
what
They'll
I said.
pay something
Something.
anyway. Just not probably the really good stuff. But no, somebody told me I had to spend that kind of money on my face, on my mouth,
Gotta get that
on my
crown.
tooth.
Thanks, Biden.
Aren't you given a crown? You don't buy it.
You take care of your teeth, though, and they will take care of you.
Blah, blah, blah.
Young people listening, if there's
Wow.
one thing you do, it's brush and floss your teeth.
My tooth is crumbling.
Well, what's that old phrase? be true to your teeth or they'll be false to you.
Oh, there you
Oh
go.
shit!
Is that from a poster at your dentist's
I
office?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
They act like false teeth are some sort of
I
problem.
feel
Nowadays
I
they're
want
not.
false teeth. They'd be so easy, much easier.
False teeth can be pretty
You
nice.
can buy them off of Amazon. Did you know that?
No.
You can buy dentures off of Amazon. You can buy kits to make your own, or you can buy just like generic kind that you can.
I feel
Jam
that's
into
a
your
risky
face.
prep. I feel that's kind of risky.
Yeah.
I don't want those like big like piano key teeth.
Or what if you wanted monster makeup teeth? You could make them, like you say, get the kit and then just make big vampire fangs or orc tusks that stick out of the bottom. That'd be fun.
Outside of something illegal, I'm struggling to find something you couldn't buy on Amazon. You can buy anything on Amazon.
Pretty much. You know, it's true of like Walmart now too, and
You can buy fucking teeth.
all these places.
Mm.
These entities that exist in the cloud somehow just generating massive wealth.
Everybody acts like we're heading for a dystopian future. Little do they know we've been in it.
Yeah.
Already, when you said entities, I thought about ants, ant wives and their titties.
Oh, like big tree with big. Again, we're back to
Yeah.
the big naturals again. You don't get more natural than an ent's titties because they're
Entities.
they're a
They
they're
are the most
tree.
natural.
They're tree people.
I feel like those would never get saggy though.
No, they couldn't.
Because they live for thousands of years.
Yeah, and they're made of wood.
And
They're
they're
made of wood.
Does wood get saggy?
They're solid like that.
If it rots, and then I don't know why we're going down
That
this
it's filled with
path at all.
water,
Yeah.
and then it sags.
Then you need a hollow tree titty where you got to hide from the headless horseman.
Hollow tree titty. Wow. Patreon.com/NOTLP. Over there, you can get stuff that we slap pretty pictures on, like t-shirts and shit.
Yeah.
And you get extra content over there, like Origins, where we go back to our old shows that aren't on the internet right now and record new commentary and, apologize for all the bad things we said when
Yeah.
it was the 2010s and everybody was doing it.
This last one was this. We were having too good a time, and we were real insensitive about little people.
Yeah.
And I feel
That
like
would be a second episode in a row.
Andy, you weren't there for it.
It was 2012.
Thankfully, you dodged a bullet.
No, thank you.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. Also at Patreon is Topicana, where we talk about the topics of the day. That's a fun one.
Yeah,
And,
zoned out.
And then Zoned Out, which is also on the main feed. You always act like it's only on Patreon, and it's not.
But it's ad free.
But it's ad free.
Just like the regular show on Patreon.
Yes.
So if you don't like listening to those ads that help pay for Amy's crown, hopefully.
My crown. My beautiful
It'll pay
crown.
like 1%.
Can I get a gold crown? I mean, hell, I'm already spending how much?
I mean, yeah,
Fuck
they
it.
still do gold, I think.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
You want to hear a fun gross story about a crown? That's
I
from
would like
somebody
to.
I know.
Yes.
Somebody I knew, their crown popped off and they swallowed it, and they had to check their poop
Why did they
to,
have to check it?
because crowns are expensive.
They were going to take the crown out of their shit and have it put back into their mouth?
Yeah.
I guess you'd feel it coming out. Crowns start off pretty big.
Wow, that is intense.
So hopefully when you get your crown put on it, it's very solid.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's expensive, but I can sell blood or whatever.
Oh, and also you have to be careful because like sometimes you can like bite something hard and your crown will pop off.
Yeah.
Well, the tooth is crumbling as it is, so whatever.
Just
Oh,
get yanked
great.
off.
It's that same tooth. The crumbling tooth.
The crumbling tooth.
Yeah. Do you have a dead tooth? Like
It's not dead like Maureen
like
Ponderosa.
like Maureen Ponderosa.
we just watched that episode again. Amy's been nostalgic for It's Always Sunny.
I have, I
that's-
get in these moods like once a
That's
year.
a slippery slope. You're gonna get your crown on your dead tooth. And
Yeah.
you're gonna become a cat person.
I'm going to
a cat
become an
person.
actual cat person. Oy vey.
We've been having a hell of a time playing Phasmophobia. I recommend it to anybody who can play it. So much fun.
It's a video game.
Ghost hunting. I wish Andy.
spooky.
I wish you had an Xbox
Andy
or
would
something.
shit his actual pants.
I have a phobia of phasma, so I can't play it.
Well, you do actually. I think that you're scared of ghosts, aren't you?
Does phasma mean ghosts?
I think so. I think it's
Yeah.
fear of ghosts. I think is what it means. I've never looked it up. I'm just guessing.
Why do you? Okay.
But I will tell you that it is such it has so much to it. Like you play a little bit and again, this game's been out for a few years for PC people, but it's new to me. But like Ouija boards and cursed objects and shit, and you're just wandering around residential homes, beautiful residential homes with ghosts in them, trying to figure out what kind of ghost it is. It's so much goddamn fun.
So they're like contemporary houses?
Yeah. Yeah, so they all look like...
That's nice to see. I like that because normally when you think ghosts, you think old-timey houses.
It's kind of like playing... When you watch Ghost Hunters or one of those shows where it's a person's house who's hired you to investigate it, and you get paid for making certain, goals, like escape the ghost during a hunt, or...
They hunt you.
Yeah, or use an EVP or an EMP
EMF?
EMF, that's what I meant. EVPs are electronic
EMP.
voice phenomena.
Not an electromagnetic phenomenon or whatever.
Yeah. But you use all the ghost hunting tools.
Pulse,
blah, blah, blah.
electromagnetic pulse.
It's a good time.
Phasmophobia is an intense and persistent fear of ghosts or the supernatural.
So are all these ghosts malevolent? They're not like Caspers at all?
Some are less scary than others.
They're all shitheads.
But they're all bad.
No.
Yeah. They'll all kill you if you let them.
Not even with kindness?
Not even.
No.
No, it's scary. They'll whisper in your ear. You wear headphones when you play it. And then you talk to the other people in your ghost hunting party with your microphone. But they built into the game a proximity effect so you can get separated and not hear each other. Or you can sound muffled if they're in the other room. It's fun.
Oh, dear God. Did you hear that?
Speaking of muffled,
I think it's the sound of...
it's the sound of low blood sugar.
Low blood sugar.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. No worries.
Should we be worried?
No.
It's been malfunctioning.
Do we need to get you some juice?
Shall we drink your juice?
I do have juice on hand just in case,
He's okay.
but I'm okay. I wear a little blood glucose monitor, and it's been going crazy, and it makes the most obnoxious sounds. And I silence my phone. I put it on Do Not Disturb. Now I've got the volume all the way down.
Because it's critical.
It's a critical alert, so it gets through all that stuff. But I still go through the motions. Maybe I'll sit on it.
It'll probably go off again. I apologize, everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
Pleasant.
Are we ready to move on then?
Sure. Turn out lights. It's the main attraction. This week's main attraction from 1976, Burnt Offerings. I picked this one because I just hadn't seen it in a very, very long time. And I remembered liking it. And that is why. It's about a family that rents a place for the summer. And it is badly haunted not by ghosts, but I would say it's haunted by need and hunger.
Seems the house itself is its own entity.
Yeah.
The house is really one of the main characters.
It is. You know what's funny? I watched this a couple months ago for my 31 Days of Halloween.
Okay.
And I had to watch it again because there's very little I remember from it.
Yeah.
That's not because of the movie. It's my own degrading mind that I don't remember. I do remember parts of it. I remember like the pool scenes and stuff like that. And I remember Betty Davis. But I don't remember like the hearse driver and a lot of the other stuff.
Oh, yeah, the chauffeur.
Yeah. Well, this was a movie directed by Dan Curtis, and they credit it as being based on a novel by Robert Marasco, but it really, I think, started as a movie, and they didn't make the movie, but they ended up writing the novel based on the treatment. And then when Dan Curtis, who did Dark Shadows and all that stuff, came on board to make it, because originally it was supposed to be Bob Fosse, the musical director, Bob Fosse.
To direct this movie?
Yeah. And
Interesting.
Yeah,
Is it going to be a musical?
I guess he was just a big enough name that they were going to let him do all kinds of stuff, and ended up being. Can't
imagine Oliver Reed doing a musical.
No, really.
Dancing with like a top hat and a cane like Fosse.
But it'd be like a sleazy kind of music number for him.
Wasn't Oliver Reed like a notorious drunk?
You know,
or am I
think
thinking
so.
of somebody else?
Yeah, I think that's what killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So Dan Curtis comes on and he added the thing with the driver, like you were talking about, Andy. That wasn't even part of it, but like that was a memory of I guess a nightmare he had, a recurring nightmare, that he put that in the movie. The smiling guy who appears like 3 or 4 times throughout,
Right. The chauffeur.
driving the hearse.
I liked him. It's like he enjoys his job,
Yeah, he was pleasant,
especially as a hearse driver, because you can't. It's hard to find joy in that, but he did.
Yeah,
You can't fake a smile so big.
and you know, they come to the house in the beginning of this movie. The family are arriving at the house to they're like, no way is this the house. As they pull up on it, you'll recognize this as the funeral home from Phantasm if you're a horror fan, or if there's something clicking here, or if you're a porno movie fan. They filmed Little Girls Blue there.
Oh.
And also
That's an awful title.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want little girls in my porn titles.
Yeah. Keep those 2 words apart.
It was that movie was made by a woman, and it's about schoolgirls'
doesn't make it
sexual
better.
fantasies. No. I'm just saying it's interesting that it was made by a woman. I thought it was a bit of novel trivia.
Yeah. Well, good for her for breaking the gross glass ceiling.
The glass floor. I don't know. I don't think I've seen it, and well, for all I know, it could be a classy affair. I mean, the house is nice. A View to a Kill was filmed here. The Vineyards, Una Novia Siningale, and True Crime in '99. But it's like kind of like a museum, or you can go there if you lived in the Oakland area. You can go do functions there, like make a porno movie,
function,
you know, or what have you.
It was a really nice house. It's just enough. It's not too ostentatious where I'm off put by it.
Mm-hmm.
It is not too old where I'm creeped out by it.
Yeah, what is that called?
It's really good house.
It's
porn.
just right.
Yeah, just right. It's a Goldilocks zone.
There you go.
Yeah.
They at first I was really confused as to why they were at this house. They don't really tell you what the hell's going on till you're kind of far in it, but they're looking to rent for their summer vacation. They're just all going to drop everything and just go to another house
for 3 months, pretty much.
For 3 months for a summer vacation. Who can do that?
Well, did they ever say what their professions were?
No.
If anything?
No, like she mentioned that he could take the time to work on his doctorate.
Yeah. So he must be
they
an
didn't
academic.
mention. Yeah.
You think?
Maybe it's because he's like a professor and that's their summer vacation or something.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
you know what? That makes a lot of sense, Andy.
That would, but if you would just tell me that, then I wouldn't be wondering about it the whole time.
Did it interfere with your enjoyment?
Yes.
No,
not really.
So it's what Roz and Arnold Allardyce.
Allardyce.
That's right. Allardyce. Hey, yeah, I'm doing a terrible job. Burgess Meredith, who I love, Twilight Zone frequent performer. Rocky Balboa, he was Mickey. God, he's been in so many things. The Penguin from Batman, but he's just a really quirky.
Kind of creepy too.
Yeah, when he's talking about their son.
Yeah, it was. Well, he kind of had like a little fey quality about him.
Yeah,
he was very mischievous.
He was a little too excited about the kid, but
about the boy. That's what like he was like. Ooh.
Yeah, look at him. It was very much like the
there's
family.
Going to be a kid here now.
Yeah.
Ew.
Old muscly arms, like the Family Guy pedophile character.
Yeah.
But really, when it's even more sinister than that, because he's excited because he knows the house is going to. Spoiler alert! You know we do that with these movies. We spoil them. This is a big one. So skip ahead if you don't want to know.
The house 50 years old.
Yeah, I know. The reason that Arnold is so excited is that he knows the house is going to feed on each member of this family, and that the kid would give it, I guess, a real good nourishing. The house,
right?
I was saying the house is like when
is
I say
that because I was going to ask you. Okay, so it's the house, not some mysterious entity in the attic.
No, it's the house. It's
that's I don't think it's ever explained. But like the house is kind of alive,
right? Yeah. Okay.
And when I say haunted, that's like not in the traditional sense of like it's haunted by a ghost or anything. I was thinking more like when the house talks to you and the walls bleed in other movies.
Right.
It's like the house is alive. Yeah, it's like Monster House, only not as cute.
And
Okay.
it's this house is hungry.
It is real hungry.
It's hangry, I would even say.
And it's like Grey Gardens in the beginning, kind of, right? You know, where it's all run
Yeah,
down.
the house is very decrepit.
Yeah, and they're just...
And I have to say, Karen Black did a really good job of sprucing the place up by
She
herself.
sure did.
Because she did a lot. Granted, yes, like the house kind of possessed her and made her be obsessed with the house. But still, that's a lot of work for one woman to take on by herself.
You didn't happen to clock how easily and how just quickly Oliver Reed's character was like, I can't believe all this work you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
There was never even a moment where he was like, gee, this will be a lot for us to do together. Can't wait to help you out with all of this.
He had no interest in
He
it.
was like, are you sure you want to do all this?
I think it also, though, it is important to the plot that he doesn't give a shit, because it gives just more contrast to how unnecessarily into keeping the house and even making the house nicer than it was than the way they found it.
Yeah, it does make sense about the transformation at the end with Karen Black's character.
Yeah.
That she's more obsessed with the house than he would be.
Yeah, she also turns into Mrs. Allardyce eventually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's kind of like a conduit more than Oliver Reed is.
Yeah. And do you feel too, Andy, like she isn't, and it's not even that she literally turned into Mrs. Allardyce. Am I saying it right again?
Yes.
It's that Mrs. Allardyce probably was never in that room to begin with, and that she was probably just taking those trays there and having this brainwashing session, kind of like when Jack Torrance would go down to the basement of the Overlook and find the news articles.
She was probably eating the food.
Or not, because the trays were always full, remember?
Not always.
Well, there was some of it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there is a scene later on in the movie where she actually does start eating the food off the tray. So
you think that was a
kinda like-
clue?
yeah, that she's
Maybe.
part of her transformation into Mrs. Allardyce.
Because it is the food Mrs. Allardyce that the kids, by kids I mean old people, Arnold and Roz, specify that they give her. So yeah, it is weird that they would be like, here's the menu for our was it their mother?
Yeah.
That this is the menu for our mother who isn't even there anyway. You know, it's for you to eat so you can become mother.
And also, would you guys take this proposition of spending the summer at this house if you had to take care of this unseen woman? It's just, to me, that's kind
And
of like
Clean the pool my
yee.
damn self? No. $900 for 3 months. But you have to feed this woman 3 times a day.
That's like
Yeah.
over $4,000 in today's money.
like
No, I can take cleaning the pool and take care of the grounds, but this woman that just lives in the attic that have to feed that I never see. They have to feed 3 times a day. It's just kind of red flags are going off in my mind.
Yeah, it's weird.
Are we in like upstate New York or something? Because they
Uh,
were talking about how you'd have to go to the city to get a doctor.
Yeah, I think they were trying to.
It
pass
seemed very
off-
East Coasty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even though it's filmed in Oakland, I would never have guessed this was Oakland. Looking at that,
Yeah, I
house.
had-
Right.
Well, I had no idea that. I don't know the West Coast very well, but it just the woods around the house. It just seemed very easty.
Yeah, it's Dunsmuir
Easty.
Manor, I think, is the name of the place. If you want to look at it, I think it's DUNSMI or MUIR.
So maybe it's like upstate San Francisco area.
Is Oakland
Mhm.
close to that? See, I don't know
Yeah.
anything about that part of California. It's a mystery to me.
Okay.
Yeah, the Raiders, they're
But
not
now
there
you know.
anymore either, though.
Geography. This
Yeah.
is where we learn.
So
Safe space to learn.
what's the first accident? The first thing that happens in the house once they have the siblings who live there full time, they basically are out. And when the family gets there, they're like totally on their own. And you never hear again about the caretaker, the guy in the grungy top who's moving the mirror around in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
That character's just totally forgotten about for some reason or another.
You see him in a picture later.
Yeah.
Whatever. What were the pictures? I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's okay. I don't think you need to necessarily go.
Yes, that's
Chronologically.
pretty classic.
Yeah. I think the first incident that tips us off is the roughhousing in the pool.
Yeah, where Oliver Reed he can't stop himself, and then he decides he wants to kill his son.
Dunking the kid over and over, holding him underwater.
That was disturbing.
Yeah.
Because he's so, at first, they feel like a real father and son.
Mm-hmm.
And like Oliver Reed seems to have really good chemistry with the kid.
Or grandfather and son, because they're like, no offense to Karen Black and Oliver Reed, because that's just how people look, but because their age, they're only like 37 and 38 in real life.
Yeah,
they're
younger than
us.
us.
Only 38.
Yeah.
But they just look old, and some people just look older than they are.
That man looked 50 if he was a day.
Yeah.
He's always looked like that. I feel
drinking does that too.
Yeah,
like
and like,
Genetics.
and Karen Black just has very striking features, and the styling is just very older.
I thought she looked a lot younger than him.
Yeah, she does, but like that doesn't say much because he looks 70. She looks
For
60s.
I would say he looks 70.
50
I would say maybe 50.
Maybe?
But I think they both look 50.
He was in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I'm just saying they just both look 50s, and
Yeah.
to
But he
see them
didn't
with
look like he was in his late 30s.
a kid that's to see them with such a young child.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, whoa, when did you have this kid?
Burgess Meredith kind of feels young in this movie a little bit, even though he's in a wheelchair and supposed to be elderly. Like I always saw Burgess Meredith as extremely elderly. Like I always think of him as Mickey in the Rocky movies, or just playing kind old men.
Mm-hmm.
But he was kind of a young weirdo. I mean, like I don't know how.
It's like I think it was that orange wig he was wearing.
Yeah, but he was in his 60s, and when they made this, and I think you're right. He does kind of look like he could be.
And he has a mischievous young quality to him.
Yeah.
Makes
him feel a little younger.
Yeah.
Sorry, there it is
goes
again.
That thing
I want to just
again.
jam the
And there's
speaker
nothing you can do
something.
about it.
Put it under my butt. Betty Davis, we haven't mentioned his aunt.
Aunt Elizabeth.
Aunt Elizabeth has come along for this vacation.
You find out later that Oliver Reed's character's mother died when he was a kid. So, you know what? She's probably his mother figure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She lives with them and came along for their summer vacation cleaning up an old mansion.
Yeah. And they start in the pool, which is real eerie because I just watched, not on purpose, but I had just watched, and I'll get to that later when we talk about the algorithm, the movie Night Swim. And it also has a very similar thing with the pool and with the dad acting weird. It almost feels like they were riffing on Burnt Offerings, which is strange timing.
Maybe they were.
Terrible movie. Night Swim, not this. But
you get this, like, Oliver Reed at first is like, let me smack all the asses, right?
Yeah, he smacks first Karen Black's ass, then Betty Davis.
Then Betty Davis's ass. He's getting everybody's ass. And then he's trying to kill his son in the pool. And then he's all fretful and nervous because he almost killed his son in the pool.
He playfully slaps his son earlier too, doesn't he? When they're first
getting,
I feel like he kind of smacks the back of his head, like in a loving kind of playful roughhouse way.
It's like roughhousing way, but it wasn't. Maybe that was kind of like a clue to what was coming.
Yeah, I think.
But it just seems so innocent to me that it didn't raise any flags.
Yeah, that's the same with me, Andy. I feel like it's
subtle enough to like say to make a nod of what's gonna eventually happen, but it's like not so overt.
Yeah, when
this guy's acting different.
When they lead up to that roughhousing in the pool, it takes a while for you to feel like the kid's in any danger.
Yeah,
because of all the stuff you've seen leading up to it. You're like, oh, he's just a handsy dad.
And it just seemed like a little the transition from that was very sudden and abrupt, like extreme. It wasn't like it wasn't like the dad was slowly like losing his temper at his son and like showing more violent tendencies or anything like that. It went straight to like a playful slap on the head to I'm going to drown you now.
Yeah, and it was. God, that was an intense scene.
What was
pushing that kid underwater?
The significance. So when he first jumps into the pool, he finds glasses. Are those his glasses that were broken, or did he find the glasses in the pool and they were broken? And why did it matter so much that they were broken?
I feel like they lingered on that for no good reason.
No, I think maybe it's a nod to maybe previous tenants of the house, and probably somebody else was drowned there too or something.
Okay.
Well, it's weird because he found
Because like spoiler, the end, it shows like all these other people that have lived there, and they probably met the same demise as the family. So to me, it was just like a remnant of a previous tenant,
I wonder
like a
if
clue.
they're in the picture somewhere in one of those
Yeah,
pictures.
there might have been somebody with glasses, those same glasses in the picture, probably.
The thing that was real weird is they didn't turn up till after he had cleaned the pool.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, I guess that could just be like, this is definitely supernatural. Like he found something after he had thoroughly cleaned that pool, filled it. They put like
Maybe the filter just sped it out or
There
something.
was like it was almost like a bullet hole
yeah, one of them was cracked.
in the way it was cracked.
Yeah.
In those glasses.
It was weird.
But they linger on it. They never really give it any real context.
I wonder
So
if
I was just wondering.
anybody's done like a breakdown on YouTube of the Easter eggs or hidden
I'm
moments.
sure.
No, I think maybe we should watch the end again where they're panning over the pictures and see if somebody has those glasses.
Yeah.
Right.
But then there's things like the funeral, the chauffeur character, the hearse driver, whatever you want to call him. He has no connection to any story element.
No.
He's there for color,
Yeah.
be a little spooky.
No, like it was a flashback to Oliver Reed, his mom's funeral.
I know, but what I mean is it doesn't really serve the story. It's just there for color. Like it does, because Oliver Reed's mom's death really doesn't factor into anything else in the story. It's just him having this nightmare.
True.
Because it's really about
I
the
think
house
maybe-
just wanting.
And also, I think it's like the house is kind of fucking with him because the house is in his mind and making him see this traumatic event over and over again.
Yeah, maybe.
So he almost kills his kid, and Karen Black cannot stop falling all over herself, trying to make him stop her, like feeling bad about it. Like, don't feel so bad about it. It was just some rough house that got out of control. You don't have to feel guilty about this. It's like, ma'am.
She enables a lot, but it makes sense in the end because you realize that like she doesn't want to stir the pot. She just needs to make sure that everything stays on the rail until the house can devour whatever's in these people and get new shutters. Because that's basically what the house is just trying to get new shingles and shutters and siding.
True.
So like how it gets those things
Shingles and shutters inside.
is fucking up families. Vacationers.
Oh, vacationing in this stuffy old house that they have to clean all the time. What a vacation.
I love the gossip that came out of this movie. Like, and it makes me think, I was telling Amy this, I was reading Betty Davis called Oliver Reed like one of the most loathsome people she's ever worked with. And her and Karen,
And she's worked with Joan Crawford.
yeah, and her and Karen Black didn't get along either. She said Karen Black didn't treat her with the proper respect.
Sounds to me like Betty Davis might have been difficult.
It might be a Betty Davis problem.
Yeah, I feel like if you have problems with all your co-stars, what's the common denominator?
Right.
You, bitch. You.
It does feel like every time I see a Betty Davis movie, I find something about her bitching about somebody who was in it with her. Every time. You're right. It's crazy.
Did anybody else think that Karen Black resembles Lana Del Rey?
Yeah. I
don't
think
see
like
Lana
see
Del Rey
it?
enough. Let me see.
I see it in like the nose and the lips.
Yeah. There's just an air. There's a vibe too.
Lana Del Rey.
Certainly in this movie.
A haughty vibe.
There's something like
Oh,
trashy but haughty.
I see it, Amy.
You see it?
I see the resemblance. Yeah,
I ain't crazy.
Definitely.
I wrote down Freddy called Oliver Reed's character a smoldering ball of urges.
Yeah, he really is. But then that's true of like you think he's gonna go full Jack Torrance.
I mean, isn't that just Oliver Reed in general?
You got burnt.
You're not wrong, Andy.
Reed.
Yeah.
I've always thought Oliver Reed was at once like one of the most magnetic and like sexy individuals, but also one of the most like repulsive individuals at the same time.
He seems like a power, like a keg waiting to go off. Like what's it called?
Powder keg.
Yeah, it seems like a powder keg just waiting to go off. He seems like an air of danger around him.
Sounded like you were saying it seems like a power and like a power bottom.
I kept waiting for bottom. Yeah, like a power bottom.
Remember, what was that movie we saw with the priest and the nuns?
Oh yeah, what was that? He was the priest in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
He
like,
was very
yeah,
magnetic and
slimy at the same time.
yeah.
What?
I don't remember.
The Devils. It was the Devils, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ken Russell, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That movie was wild. But yeah, Oliver Reed he's one of those actors that you're like, this is the age of just like no rules, just right. Outback Steakhouse style performing where
It reminds me of like Sean Connery in a way. Like remember that story where Sean Connery talked about slapping a woman?
oh yeah.
Oh dear.
That was weird.
They give off that gross vibe, but also at the same time, like, damn, he's sexy.
Yeah. It's a weird combination. It's a weird feeling to
Save
have.
some sexy for the rest of us. Golly. I don't know. I don't find Oliver Reed especially sexy.
Really?
Sorry.
Maybe
Not
it's
in this
like a man's man type thing, you know?
Might be.
that you guys are responding to your masculinity is reaching out
Yeah.
and touching.
You're kind of like drawn to another man's masculinity in a way because you're like, you're like, oh, those are the more unrefined aspects of myself as a man are bubbling
Yeah,
up.
it's not like we're aiming to be them, but there's something about them. It's
Right.
hard to explain.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I hear you.
You know, it's like that old
received that.
school, like Steve McQueen, Gene Hackman vibes. You know?
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Ricardo Montalban's a good example. I think he's in the same category. Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah, there's like something about like certain men that men are attracted to.
Yeah. That's the stuff.
No, I totally get it. Like the Marlboro Man,
Yeah.
But not the Marlboro.
but not the Marlboro Man. The scene, I have some more questions because this movie did make me question. It didn't spoon feed you at all.
No.
So there's this scene where all of the clocks go off at midnight. Or I don't know if it really was midnight. All of the clocks suddenly go to midnight and then start bong, bong, bonging, right? At that time, it wakes up Oliver Reed,
Yeah.
who then is freaked out. And I guess he goes to check on his son, can't get in the room. When he does get in the room, there's been a gas leak and the kid's almost dead. Later on, okay, follow me. I don't know if you can. Later on, Oliver Reed accuses Karen Black's character of winding all of the clocks to wake them up, as if it was a bad thing. But it woke them up and they were able to save their kids. So that's a good thing. What was the house trying to do?
Well, I think
The house was trying to kill the kid, but he woke them up.
I don't necessarily even think. I think the house also likes to turn the families against each other.
Yeah, I think I think you're thinking about it too much, in my opinion, because I think the house is
probably
kind
am.
of just fucking with people and not necessarily having reasons for why he's doing these things.
Yeah.
It felt like something was trying to warn them.
Well, it's because they got woken up by the clocks because they needed Karen Black to accuse Betty Davis of doing these.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, they needed them
Of
to find their
somehow-
son just in time. I mean, like maybe like the house wasn't intended to kill him, but
It was a frame job.
Yeah, because like they needed like because Betty Davis was kind of onto the house a little bit because she was like, we need to leave, something's happening, and maybe the house needed them to stop believing Betty Davis and her suspicions.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's that. And also just the par for course of what it's been doing forever and always is taking family members and turning them against each other.
And it's just having fun. Yeah, that's what the evil houses do.
Until it uses you up. It doesn't take long for after, poor Betty Davis is kind of accused by the mom that did you close the window and make it so it couldn't be open and turn on the gas and then lock the door and try to kill my son?
Yeah. And like Betty Davis seems so vulnerable.
which is a
and,
crazy thing. Yeah,
you know,
it was like really sad.
I never thought that Betty Davis was like a sweet little old lady, but in this movie, like she is.
It's the closest thing to that role she's ever played.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
And I really like the makeup job they did on her, where she seems like this vibrant old lady, but as the house drains the life force away from her, she gets more like skeletal and like sick.
That makeup
So
job is so disturbing by the end.
Oh, where they made her look really gray and sick.
Super sick.
Yeah.
It looks so real.
Yeah.
And it's the stress. I think it's kind of the stress of her relationship with Karen Black's character falling apart that kills
And
her.
also, I got the house is like draining her life force too.
Yeah. But I think it really gets the creme de la creme when she dies. It's like every time someone gets hurt in the house, like when during the roughhousing in the pool, when the kid hits his dad with whatever it was that causes him to start bleeding, and
Like
he
the
gets away.
goggles.
Oh, that's right, it was the goggles, and that feeds the house. That every time someone's hurt, like, and then when Oliver Reed finally is like, "We're getting the fuck out of here, even if it's just you and me," after the funeral for his auntie / foster mom, whatever
Right.
you want to call her, he tries to leave, and then it gets very Evil Dead at that point with the tree blocking his way and the vines and everything.
Right. The house can extend its power all the way. I mean, it created weather, right? I mean, is that what we're to understand?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe it's just evil grounds as opposed to just the house.
Yes,
think
the
it's the whole
grounds that it was built on.
Yeah.
It's not just the house.
Because
it's
the
grounds.
gardens also came back to life.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. It's very like earthy.
It's like Poltergeist. Like you got rid of the tombstones, but you didn't get rid of the corpses.
Yeah. It's got a folk horror vibe to it, definitely, too.
When they're trying to call the doctor for the kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
After the gas leak is discovered, Oliver Reed can't call out. Or no, it's for when Betty Davis is dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can't, the phone will not, the house is not letting the phone call out. So he can't get a hold of any doctors. But Karen Black goes down there and is able to do it.
Yeah, it's weird that the house
Why would it let
cooperates with
her?
I guess she must have some, because she's the one who's keeping all the
Is she going to be the
gears
new
moving.
caretaker
Yeah,
in some way?
I
So
think
it's
so.
nurturing her and like
Well, but I don't think she's really a caretaker.
Using
'cause
her?
It ages her. It makes her like what Mrs. Allardyce was described to be, a very elderly old woman by the end of the movie.
right.
And it kind of happens all at once because she's agreed to leave, and you think everything's going to be okay. And they're driving away. And she's like, "Well, I got to tell Mrs. Allardyce, because at this point you're watching it, and we don't know that Mrs. Allardyce doesn't exist." She's like, "Well, I got to tell her. We can't just leave this old lady we're supposed to take care of and just leave." And that's pretty reasonable, even though this movie has shown us some pretty weird shit. But when you think about it, these characters, what they're observing isn't plainly supernatural in any way. It's all intuited, like.
Right.
And we're getting the version of it with the spooky music and the foreknowledge. But at this point, it's just, you're kind of dealing with people who just think this place something's off about the place and they need to get the fuck out. So she's going to go back in and you're like, okay, he's going to let her do it. And you're like, this is of course the worst possible idea. It's like out of the frying pan and you decide to go right back into the fire kind of thing. And she goes up, but she's not coming back. She's gone way too long. And he goes up to check on her, and of course she's turned in. They have the psycho moment where she's in the chair, and instead of there being like a skeleton there, it's Karen Black, and now she's got old age makeup on.
Right.
An intense
And that
look.
old lady haircut with the poofy,
Yeah,
the poof with the bun.
the big bun up top.
The bun poof.
It's kind of like who's that female Star Trek captain?
Oh yeah,
Janeway.
Yeah,
Season
she's got
1.
Janeway hair.
Yeah, and the makeup makes her look insane too. I don't know if it was just supposed to be old age makeup or if they were going for something more sinister, because she has the kind of intense eyes anyway.
She does.
And she has like she's like gray, and like undead.
Yeah, her skin's gray too.
And then Karen Black becomes Mrs. Allardyce and throws a stunt double out the window.
I thought for sure you were
was
going to
like
say yeet.
He did a
He
stunt
was
double.
yeeted.
Yes, it's supposed to be Oliver Reed, but that's not Oliver Reed jumping out. It's very obvious.
Do you think he jumped out the window, or do you think she threw him out the window, or the
I
house
think she
did?
threw him.
Yeah.
She threw him, yeah.
I was surprised. Like, they just killed them all off at the end.
It's super dark.
The kid.
In a brutal way, the way Oliver Reed goes head first into the windshield of the station wagon.
With
And
his
this
kid
poor-
staring
gore.
on.
And his
yeah.
poor son sees it.
Yeah.
It's pretty gory.
And the kid gets out, and then the kid gets crushed to death
By the chimney that fell.
by the
'Cause the
old
house-
chimney. The house doesn't want the old chimney anymore.
The house is changing.
Yeah, I was surprised when they they killed the kid. I was like,
Me
damn,
too.
this movie's not messing around.
Yeah, I'd forgotten a lot about. I'd seen this last time I saw this. I worked at Blockbuster Video, if that tells you anything. And
And also in the house's defense, the house gave plenty of time for this kid to get out of the way of the chimney that falling because
He kind of stood there.
this kid had no.
Unnecessarily.
Maybe the house was making the kid like not be able to move because the house made Oliver Reed catatonic at one point. But
where,
still,
where the kid is in shock
yeah,
because he just watched his dad die after a series of very strange events already.
Mm-hmm.
He just gave up. He's like,
yeah.
crush me.
What a rough summer for that poor kid.
Yeah.
Almost drowned by his dad, watching his great aunt die,
Yeah.
and then being yelled at by his mom the whole summer for messing around the house,
Traumatic.
I was saying,
and then crushed by a chimney.
yeah, I was saying how long ago it'd been. I remembered this movie so differently. I remembered it as them inheriting the house, which wasn't true. I thought there was a lot more Burgess Meredith in it just because he made such an impact. Well, the first time I saw it, but there's not nearly enough of
There's
Burgess
barely any.
Meredith. It needs
I
way
think it
more.
was-
Yeah.
No, I think it was like, just enough because if you had those two characters in there more, it would kind of like tip off what was really happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
you're
I
right.
like the-
yeah.
I like the restraint of it because I was kind of like think about how if this movie was made during modern times, they would kind of go a little further with all the scares and be more obvious about what was happening.
Yeah.
I like
definitely.
the subtlety about it.
Yeah, it is. It's a very subtle, and I think it's kind of it gets mixed reviews. Like people kind of I'm not gonna say love or hate it, but like I've been told a lot of times people think
No,
it's too slow.
It is a slow
I will
burn.
say it needed some editing. They had no reason to be
Yeah.
almost 2 hours. Like I think if you cut off like 15 minutes of it, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah,
Even so, I really enjoyed this movie.
yeah,
Exactly.
I do too.
I enjoyed myself. I still think it's a good movie, but you're totally right, Andy. It definitely
Yeah,
could use some major editing.
the slow burn was a little too slow.
yeah,
And it's not like they couldn't cut if already the story isn't super told. It's kind of obfuscated a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you could cut and not lose story.
yeah. There's definitely like scenes you can cut, like near the end when Karen Black is checking on Mrs. Allardyce for the last time. It takes her forever to get up there.
Yep.
We don't need to see her slowly ascend the stairs and call out Mrs. Allardyce's name for 5 minutes.
Do you think it's even worth like the fake out they give you when is it worth them? You get the feeling they're all going to escape. You see all three of them in the car. You could have even cut that and just gone straight to her being missing for a little while and them going up to look for her and her being in the.
I think you need that. I think you need that scene of them about to leave and her deciding to go back up.
It's more dramatic that way.
Yeah, it is because you need that big reveal of like, "Hey, you're safe now. Don't do this dumb thing.
Yeah.
Leave." You need them to have like that moment of hope,
Yeah.
and then all come crashing down on you like the chimney
Just like
on
the
Davy.
Just like the chimney on Davy.
I kept every time they'd say Davy, I was like, "Who's still in the Navy?"
That's what I thought too.
Really? Isn't that funny?
It probably
That's
will be
the-
for life.
Jones.
Yeah, it probably will be. For life. I think that's.
That little kid grew up to be in a movie called Mutant
Oh my god.
with
yeah.
Wings Hauser. And I'll tell you, it's a hilarious riff tracks.
We've seen that movie like 4 times.
I
now.
know.
Amy almost went off. She was looking for the algorithm stuff. She was. Should we go into the algorithm?
Well, no. I mean, let's
Okay.
finish up.
I don't have anything else to say about Burn Offerings other than I recommend it to anybody who's into like folksy supernatural horror
Yeah,
movies.
but just be to make time for it.
Yeah.
There was a
Be
certain
prepared.
time.
Don't be tired.
Yes, exactly. There was a certain time in the 70s where all horror novels and movies were about haunted houses
Yeah.
or families that are changed forever by a house. A house corrupts them in some way.
Well, that's
Was that like when the suburbs were booming and
well, the critique, and I didn't get into this, but like this movie is usually used as an example of anti-American dream themes.
right?
So they're saying that materialism and the being so having property ownership be so important that it will actually destroy your family. Like the traditional idea of like how families are supposed to work, that not everybody's supposed to own a house and everything, and taking care of multi-generation, like him taking care of his aunt and the multi-generational care and how we moved away from that. Like there's
So this is like moving away from like the 50s when people settled down in the suburbs and had, the 2.5 children in the.
Well, it's actually
suburbs.
it's a criticism of that. Like that's kind of the argument they make, is that it's
like the 70s, like that was like the counterculture was happening, and you're moving away from traditional family values.
Yeah, and but they were also even saying like that it was it was this fixation on property ownership.
Yeah,
like that this is used in as this movie's been around long enough and it was popular enough that like people use it to.
Well, they weren't even owning; they were renting for the summer.
They were renting.
but she became obsessed with staying there forever, and she kept referring to it as ours. Like it was about her obsession.
The Real Housewives of Potomac. If you were renting, oh my God, then you're not really Potomac.
You're not Potomac.
Burnt offerings.
But there's good. I read a bunch of this shit just because. I like to do research on the movies we watch, and like you can go deep on Burnt Offerings with some think pieces out there and like essays.
But I'd have to send these offerings back.
They've been badly burnt.
I'd like my offerings burnt. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I like them. I like mine rare.
Also, I'm sure it's like
burn ends, baby.
It's obvious that Burnt Offerings is a reference to the Bible and sacrifices made to God.
Sacrifices made to the house.
The burnt offering, yeah. So it's the same idea of sacrifices to the house, yeah. It's just a house, y'all.
And the house did have a glow up at the end. It was all pristine, and
the
pool was sparkling after feasting on this family.
You like the way the shutters
delicious,
or not the shutters, but the siding just pops off and there's fresh siding underneath.
Yeah, the shutter, the shingles on the house did that too.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny. I thought that was clever.
If only our houses could do that for real.
God, that would be cool.
Would you kill somebody?
I would let my house molt.
Yeah.
Just to have your house molt? Your yard would
It'll be like
perfect.
this.
Depends on who I got to kill.
If this could happen, it'll be like The Simpsons where they lure homeless people. Like, did somebody say something about a hot meal?
JD Vance for a new house. I'd do it.
Oh, yes. but would the house be like, ew, you bought that for me? As an offering?
Listen, I got to be like Dexter. I got to only kill the bad guys.
You got to turn it up extra high to get those eyelashes.
I feel this house would reject JD Vance.
Yeah.
Like, ew, bring me something more palatable.
This house does. We reject.
This house.
We reject JD Vance. Fuck off, motherfucker. All right, where were we?
We were, I think we're done with Burnt Offerings, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Feeling good? Want to talk about that algorithm? Since I've already teased what I watched, I'll tell you real quick.
Yeah.
Night Swim.
Well, then you can start, yeah.
Night Swim is a real booger of a movie, man. It's like, it has one of my favorite actors in it, Wyatt Russell, who I think is usually really good in everything he does.
It's okay to have a paycheck movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, get paid.
I have no problem with that.
Get paid.
And also, it is eerily similar to Burnt Offerings. He's a recovering. He says he's like on the DL as a professional baseball player, the character, and so him and his family are moving into this house while he recuperates, and they choose it because it has. He's like, oh, it has a pool. I can do water therapy in it and all this. And really, he has. I think he has MS, is what they're. If I remember right, he's walking with a cane. So I'm like, well, that's not your regular injury that you're trying to recuperate from. That's like a major degenerative illness, right? So you kind of think maybe the film's he's gonna have this really drawn out illness and everything. But him and his kid and his wife, they move in and he's cleaning the pool. It's just the same fucking scene from Burnt Offerings, basically, with the cleaning of the pool. And then his daughter like experiences like something in the pool at night when she has a friend over. They see like there's like looks like a real Ghostbusters cartoon style ghost. You know, the look of like, it just looks like something out of that. It's a very cartoonish looking ghost in the pool. And then he starts getting healthier. Miraculously, the pool's like making him healthier. And
are you spoiling this movie?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I mean, the movie spoils itself. Makes its own gravy.
I don't think people will be upset if we talk about a haunted pool movie and reveal the ending.
You're right.
It's just one of those movies where you're like, it's the dad of the family is getting something out of a situation, but it's haunted. It's not good for the family.
I mean, is the pool kind of like do the same thing like the house and Burnt Offerings did, whereas kind of make them obsessed with the pool?
It makes him want to be using it all the time. Like, and his behavior changes and all that. It's very much
one of those.
The same thing as it's just not. It's like a less well done Burnt Offerings, and it's total coincidence that it happened to pop up. And I remembered, I think Fozzie had warned me it wasn't good, and I had to watch it myself.
Is he constantly putting his butthole by the pump?
Oh, just sucking his guts out.
No, like, you know, with the jets that shoot out water.
Oh, I thought you meant the one where you pull it, like sitting on the drain is what I was thinking of.
Gross.
Oh, yeah, like a good hard jet, right where you need it. On a sore muscle or in said butthole. I wouldn't risk it. You know what a bidet does when it sprays up right directly into your butthole.
Goes right through your mouth.
Yeah. Well, it makes you poop. If you got any poop at all, it's going to come out with that kind of pressure. But that's
nice.
nice.
You end up here.
You got to clean the pool so much after that cleansing.
Oh my God.
Night swim.
We always end up on poop.
I think it was on Prime if anybody wants to play along.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I really don't recommend it.
I assume the pool was just constantly drowning people.
No, it wasn't even that. I can't even remember what really bad happened in it. Did somebody even die?
What is the big reveal? Did somebody drown in the pool?
No, there's no big reveal.
Was somebody drowned?
No, there's no.
It's just
not
an evil
even
pool.
that. It's just an evil pool, and there's like
it's just an evil pool.
Unless stuff was just like
what else do you need?
I think I had Teflon brain at a certain point where I'm like, this movie's not gonna say anything that's gonna land at this point anymore. And,
I mean, because like I assumed that like somebody was drowned violently in the pool or something, and it's kind of like those like Japanese ghost movies where the entity is attached to the pool or something.
No, and it's not even. It feels like there's a bunch of them that kind of well up from the bottom. I can't even remember exactly. There was a point, and I wasn't even like on my phone or anything. I was watching this movie, but I think there was a point where it just started like pinging off of the sides of my head. Every word said was like scattered out because it was hard to care. The movie's that kind of movie.
Yeah, it's not even like a poltergeist moment where these bodies start popping out.
No, not even. It's more. It looks more. It's very CG.
Yeah,
and it's very cartoony ghost kind of look, and in the movies, just it doesn't feel like it's done. It feels like it was kind of an idea, and they've padded it out to 90 minutes to make it a feature, and that's all there is to it. It felt like it had a lot of missing pieces.
It feels like it's a very pretty poor idea in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a great. Although I remember seeing the trailers and we were both like, "Oh, that's spooky." Because the thought of I think everyone who's been in a pool at night,
I'm always creeped out by it.
It's inherently spooky, especially if you don't have lights.
Being in a pool by myself, it could be the bright daylight. That's still spooky to me. Or being in a pool at night is very spooky.
Pool at night, super spooky to me. I know
like
when I was a kid.
Like the ocean at night?
I won't get in the ocean at night.
I won't do it. It's too dark. Oh my gosh.
Too dark.
Anything's in there. Anything.
Did you catch anything interesting from your algorithm, Andy? Anything get flung up in your face?
Well, it's not the algorithm, but I did do some watching on my own.
Yeah.
In honor of Gene Hackman. I watched rest in peace, Gene Hackman passed away recently.
The death
and also
algorithm.
rest in peace, Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yeah.
She passed away too, so
it's been rough.
shout out to her too.
Did you watch Euro Trip?
No, I watched. Was he on your? Oh, I thought you were
She
talking about
was,
Gene
not
Hackman.
Gene
I was like, he was in Eurotrip. That's a unusual choice for him.
Yeah.
No, I watched the French Connection for the first time.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a long
I've
time.
never seen that.
Oh, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's really good. I was not expecting it to be so good.
Is that in Chicago?
I know it's yeah. I know it's New York.
New York.
No,
Oh, okay.
I know it's considered a classic, and it's a classic for a reason. But there's certain movies that you just slip by you, and this is one of them. And wow, it's a really good movie.
Isn't there a car chase in that movie where they actually
Yeah,
hit a
that's-
pedestrian?
Like apparently, that's what the movie's like famous for. Like this kind of gonzo filmmaking, where it just seems so real
Yeah.
and dangerous. And like, there's this really extended car chase scene with an L train and everything, and it just seems, whoa, this is really dangerous.
Somebody's
Right.
gonna die.
Yeah, it's just I love how gritty it is. It feels like it's just a movie that's just invigorating. It's alive. It's so vibrant.
Is this character named Popeye in that, or am I crazy?
Yeah, Popeye and
Okay,
Doyle, I
yeah.
think. Yeah,
Yeah, that movie is cool. He wears like a hat.
I really, yeah.
I love it.
And like the story is really simple. It's about like a drug bust, but it's the movie making around it and the characters that make it so good. And the city is a character in itself.
Oh my.
I mean, like it's such a cliche, but
What city?
it really is
New York.
New York City.
Did you
It
say
really
that
is
already?
true
Sorry.
for this. It really is true for this movie. Like most of the movie is shot outdoors, like very, very, very few sets. And like this is the 70s New York, which is my favorite era of New York.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like
The grimy.
gross. Yeah. And like true, like the city has just so much character to it.
Didn't they made a sequel
Yeah.
to it? But I
It's
have you seen the
apparent-
sequel?
like no, I've never seen. Why would I see the sequel if I've never seen the first one?
Oh, I don't know. I've never seen the sequel. I was just curious. I thought maybe you caught it on. Sometimes you catch a sequel on cable and
Yeah.
you just watch it anyway.
Yeah, but I've never seen the sequel, and apparently it's not good.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
yeah, French Connection, highly recommend. And Gene Hackman's like really good in it. Like, it's not so much what it's more about his presence and the actual acting, because it's not like traditional acting where he's giving the like monologues and big scenes where there's like dialogue and stuff like that. It's more about his presence and like his aura.
He was awesome.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Remind me of The Fugitive a lot, so I highly recommend it.
We
And the
should
character
watch
itself is there are parts of it that makes you really feel uncomfortable with his use of slurs.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, he talks like it's very authentic 70s
Yeah.
New York cop.
Uh-huh. But like you root for him too at the same time while hating him because he's not a good person. But there's just something about him that is just so like magnetic.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So
So good.
yeah, this is for you, Gene Hackman.
I remember I saw that movie the same week I saw Bullet. And that was again when I worked at Blockbuster because I was trying to learn all the classic movies. And the I think the reason it was the car chase sequences. Bullet also had like this Bullet's San Francisco, I think. And it was the same kind of idea where they went and filmed like real car chases on the
Yeah.
streets. Pretty cool. I mean, dangerous and irresponsible now. We would never do that. But
Right.
still, I love.
And there's
love
just
that
something
stuff.
about movies that were actually filmed in this era, because it's the 70s in New York. But like, and you watch something like Goodfellas where they try to recreate the same like look and feel of it, and it just is you really can't compare.
Well,
Like
fe-
seeing
it feels smaller because they
Yeah.
have to make that look fit.
exactly,
Yeah,
And-
and when you watch an old like a movie that's shot in New York in the 70s
Mhm.
and they're all over town, it's
Yeah.
real. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that way about like I'm not a huge fan of the movie Maniac, but it is such a cool way to see New York, like the sleazy part of New York in
Mhm.
that era that like I can forget the really disturbing like bits I don't care so much about.
yeah. I think we should make America sleazy again.
We're working on it. We
Every
got a
city.
rapist president. I don't know what else you want.
Sleaze.
Sleaze. Speaking of sleazy,
Yeah.
Still reading Agatha Christie. It's not sleazy.
I was
Police.
about to say. Yeah.
That was the irony of it all.
You said they're like you're onto short stories now.
Poirot.
Were these like the ones that were like out in the magazines and stuff? Or
I don't know. It's just a collection.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't tell you. It's called Poirot Investigates.
It's
and it
fun.
was the third, fourth book. I don't remember which.
It's such a modern
no,
feeling structure to do things.
Yeah.
It took me forever to put two and two together that Agatha Christie and Poirot are the related. You know, like
Yes,
she created it.
wrote-
She made Miss Marple too.
Yeah. I remember watching that Poirot a lot on PBS. And it took me forever to figure out how to pronounce it too.
Yeah, it's not easy.
That's Poirot.
That's my
Poirot.
Poirot. David Suchet.
David
Yeah.
Suchet.
He's the best.
Yeah, I'm still reading Agatha Christie. Speaking of slurs and problematic, but you still love it anyway. But you know, it was
Yeah.
the time.
I feel like they edited a lot of her material too, like depending on what publisher
Not
released
what
it.
I'm reading.
Yeah, you're
Not
getting
the
raw,
versions I'm reading from the library.
the raw deal.
Yeah. But I did watch a movie called Blood Theater. Watched it via Riff Tracks. 80s movie about this haunted theater because it's not really haunted. It's haunted. It's not really haunted.
They had the fire right in the beginning.
That there was a fire and a bunch of people died that were murdered too.
Yeah.
There was fire and there was murder in
So
this
were
theater.
they were
60
murdered before the fire or the fire murdered them?
They were murdered before the fire
And during.
and during. But then so many decades later, I thought they said 60. I don't know if that could be true. But anyway, somebody has bought this theater. They're cleaning it up. The kids are going missing and dying and such. It's real bad. It's real bad. But if you like real bad 80s slasher movies like I do, it's perfect.
Andy, I think, have you seen Hobgoblins?
No, I don't remember seeing that.
It's real bad. It's the same guy who did Hobgoblins did this. Rick Sloan. That was like a third tier Gremlins ripoff. Third or fourth, maybe even tier. But if you
So it's below Ghoulies.
it's below Ghoulies, yeah, it's worse than Ghoulies.
I had started watching a movie called Evil Laugh. Then we found out that the guy who directed that movie
Sexual predator.
was a credibly accused sexual predator.
He's dead now.
He's dead now, so I didn't put any money in his pocket, but I turned it off, switched over to Blood Theater. Glad I did.
It was a good excuse. Like you're like, God, I hope the guy who directed this is a sexual predator so I can turn it off.
I mean, did it come across sexual predatory?
We didn't even
The
get
movie
that
itself?
It
far.
was just another
Okay.
dumb 80s slasher.
Okay.
It's
'Cause
terrible.
I was in the mood for a dumb 80s slasher. So don't watch Evil Laugh, watch Blood Theater. Both are on Tubi. Because of course they are. But of course.
That's how I watched Burn Offerings.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Evil Laugh also had a porn star in it, Ashlyn Gear.
So there you go.
That was the other interesting bit about that movie.
Just to bring it all back to porn,
To
like
porn.
Freddy likes to do.
Just like at the what was the name of the mansion from Burn Offerings? I've already forgotten.
Dunsmuir.
Dunsmuir. They shot a porno movie in that place, man. It's a museum.
I wonder what parts of the house they shot it in.
Yeah, no telling.
That's where the museum is.
I mean, it was a big house. There's a lot of rooms they can
Yeah.
do their deeds in.
It was a good house. Good house. Porn.
Hopefully, there's a scene with the pool.
Hopefully.
You think they used the pool
Might
I
as
hope
well.
so.
in the porno movie?
Might as well. If you have one, use it. The end of every show, we always say hi to our Beelzebubs. Patreon.com/NOTLP if that's something you're into. Matt.
Oh, Matt, we might see you in a little bit for some Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, Baldur's Gate 3.
Same thing.
Branan and Emily. Jeffel. Iona Goodwin.
Own a great one.
Dr. Brian. Old Dirty Billsterd. See you soon.
Yeah.
Bill Fahrner. Blayne Yogurt. Jordache Jeans.
Yeah.
See your ass soon. Or not. Is he playing with us tonight? Monica.
Monica, remember you get to pick the movie.
Yeah. Jeremy, Cassie, and Gamora. Ernest, Dave, and Paul. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
And thank you so much for listening. I hope you had fun with us today. That's all that we want for you.
It's
to
fun.
have some fun.
All right. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Einstein was wondering if he should go to bed when his old buddy Leatherface put on Dawn of the Dead. And Igor made the nachos in a severed human head, and they enjoy the movie with their friends. David Kessler walks the streets of London